Yes, ma'am, please start.
A very good evening to everyone. First of all, I would like to wish everyone a very happy International Women's Day. To all the women and also to the men out there, because your very being and existence is because of a woman. So it gives you an equal reason to celebrate International Women's Day. Well, personally, I feel that the way our society is progressing and women are contributing equally to the society as their male counterparts. So every day is like a woman's day. So the celebration is quite symbolic, the same way like we are an independent country, but still we celebrate one day of independence as the Independence Day. So if I may compare the two. First of all, I would like to thank Ira Singhal for joining us today. Thank you, Ira, and very warm welcome to the panel discussion today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Before introducing me, I would like to say what I personally feel for you. I feel you are like light, Ira. A light for those who feel that their life is in darkness. Either of the two reasons, either because of being a woman or because of being differently abled. And the way you have overcome these two challenges in life and have emerged as a winner, it's like a big salute to you. So before introducing you, I would like to, thank you again, once again, for joining us and, being an inspiration for everyone. So I would like to read a few lines about you, though you need no introduction, but still, that's a little formality, which I will do. Miss Ira Singhal is the first person with disability to top the prestigious Civil Service Examination 2014. She has BE and MBA degrees from two of the top institutions in the country and has worked as a strategy manager for Cadbury India Limited. While she enjoyed working in the corporate sector, she wanted to work for the society and hence decided to change her career path. Before her selection as an IS officer in 2015, she was rejected thrice by the government as an IRS officer in the same exam due to her disability. She decided to fight the rejection in the Central Administrative Tribunal and won after a battle of good 3 years. While waiting her joining as an IRS officer, she gave the exam and got selected as an IS officer. She currently handles 7 profiles in New Delhi Municipal Corporation, being DC Keshavpura Zone, DC Karol Bagh Zone, Director Education, Director Community Services, Director Press and Information, DC Advertising, and DC RP Cell and Parking. She is the brand ambassador for the Department of Disability, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. She is also the brand ambassador for Ministry of Women and Child Development, Niti Aayog, and is on the National Panel for Accessible Elections, Election Commission of India. Her innumerable awards include the India Today's Woman of the Year 2015, President's Gold Medal for topping the IS training, First Ladies of India Award by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, and she also is recorded in the Limca Book of Records. I think that is like quite an achievement in life, Ira. So I think now we can start the panel discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Just one correction, Parul. I am now not handling all those 7 charges. I'm now with the Department of Women and Child Development and Department of Social Welfare. So
I think that's better. You can focus more on these 2 areas now, and your time will be more divided for these areas. Sure, perfect. Absolutely. So I think, the first question that I would like to put to you is that, do you really think women are needed in the workforce? I mean, should women be working?
Absolutely. So the society is made up of everyone. Now, if you have women, out of the decision making, then the decisions that are being made will not be made for women. If something is going to be affecting me, then I should be a part of deciding how it affects. Right? If there are policies that will affect my family, my household, my children, my life, then I should also be a part of making that policy. And the perspective of women and men is so different. For the smallest thing, you will always find that women think differently and men think differently. And which is why it's so important that women are part of the policy making. Think about setting up a transport system, right?
Right.
it is so important that women are part of the decisions about transport system, because they are going to be using it, and their needs from a transport system are so different from a male's needs. So it's similar in a corporate sector. If you're designing a product, and especially FMCG sector or something, if you're designing a product and you're the women are the main consumers. Actually, women are the ones who buy most stuff. So if the person who's going to buy your stuff has not been a part of you designing that stuff, you are definitely not going to make a product which your consumer will like as much. So even from a volume sales perspective, if you want people to like your products, you must have the users as part of your decision making, as
I
part
think
of
the
designing that product.
interests will be more watched if the woman is a part of the, or any person, whose
Yes.
interest is involved. If he's
Yes.
a part of the making, so
Yes.
their interest will be more watched
Yes.
rather than
Exactly.
someone.
Right.
Right, right, right.
Different perspectives help you design better things, help you make better products, help you make better policies, and which is why women need to be working. Secondly, there is a very different perspective to it. If 50% of a country is not contributing, is not working, imagine how much lower the productivity of that country is.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Right? As a country, we need everyone to contribute, whether it is women, whether it is people with disabilities, whether it's transgender populations. Every single person needs to be given a platform to contribute, so that the rest of us don't have to carry their burden. If half the people are not working, half the people will have to carry their burden and work also. So, I have to carry my burden, and I have to carry your burden if you're not working.
Inclusion of every strata of the society is extremely important.
Yes.
Right.
So everybody needs to contribute, and which is why you need, even from a family perspective, if only one person in the family is working, he has to support everybody else. While if everybody else is also working, whatever be their capacity, it doesn't have to be everybody earning the same amount, but whatever be their capacity or capability, they
Right.
if they do that much, they're at least carrying their own burden. Which for a country like ours, which is growing, it will shoot us up into the trajectory much faster.
Right. So, Ira, why do you think that women entrepreneurs, like the percentages of women entrepreneurs is less? What are the reasons that you think for this?
The first thing is, as a country, we are very risk averse. Okay, we go to business schools to find a job, not to set up businesses.
That's true.
The aim outside in a business school, the way you are judged as having been the best performer, is how much was your pay package. So you had, how much do you get a job for? Nobody talks about people setting up businesses. So as a country, we are not very open to taking risks, and businesses are risks. So that's the one big problem that we have. So we don't even encourage our boys to set up businesses, leave aside our women. Secondly,
And I
in
think
case,
people are sorry to interrupt, but I think people are even reluctant to invest in women, in their daughters or sisters.
Absolutely. So the second thing that comes in, which is what I was coming to, is precisely your point that as a rule, we treat our girls as incapable. So if a girl is born in the family, the thing that is said is, "Arey koi baat nahi, it's okay. The next one will be a boy. It's okay. Don't worry. Girls are Lakshmi. Lakshmi has come.
That kind of an
No,
idea.
Lakshmi hai. Lakshmi hai. Be happy about it." Which basically means that you're saying that something bad has happened to you, but it's okay. You should learn to accept it now that it has happened.
True.
Don't go through the rest of the 4 stages of grief. Go to the 5th one, deal with it, accept it. Which basically means you're saying that something wrong has happened, something bad has happened. So now imagine from a girl's perspective, she's born with that guilt, right? And all her life, she's trying to overcome that guilt by trying to be perfect in different ways. And constantly, women get to hear, "You, as a good girl, you should be doing this. Good girls talk like this. Good girls walk like this. They behave like this. They wear such clothes. Girls come back home at this time." So you're constantly being told how to behave. Now, for an entrepreneur, you're actually supposed to be a person who can think outside the box, think differently, not follow the rules, not follow the norms, because that's how you will be successful at business, if you can do something different. But for women, you're constantly being asked to follow a particular trend, to not be different, to follow the rule, to stay in the line. That in itself kills your capacity to take a risk, to think differently. By the way, women are very, very innovative. because we get the least resources and we make do with all of those resources.
I think God was a little biased when he created women, and women are
Yes.
more creative anyways.
Absolutely, we're more creative, we're more innovative, we think of solutions a lot more because we face problems also a lot more, right? So naturally we would actually make excellent entrepreneurs, except the fact that our risk taking capacity, our capacity to actually step out and do something has been curbed since childhood, and it's very difficult to come out of that. In fact, girls are so not appreciated for asking questions, to have curiosity, to want to take up things and do something with their hand. Boys are given mechanical toys, girls are given dolls, so that you can be like that doll and you can follow
And
the doll.
ghar and those utensils and
Yes,
dolls,
right? So because that's what
True.
you're supposed to be doing mentally.
Right. So do you think that with the changing times that the plight of women is changing in India?
Absolutely, it is. So, as technology advances, as societies become more technologically advanced, the need for physical manpower goes down. And that's where women's role comes up, because the only platform we suffer at is the physical strength. So with
Right.
technology, physical strength is not going to be needed anymore, right? Which
Right.
basically means that girls can now do as well as boys.
But what about the mindset that girls are
Yes,
not that competent? What do we
precisely.
do about that
Precisely.
mindset?
So I'll tell you, mindset also, it's controlled a little by the technological advance. So if you look at it in metros, the technological advance of the society is a lot more. So more women are working. While as you go down the chain, tier A, tier B, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and then your
Difficult.
rural areas, the technology advancement is lower, and hence women's involvement is also lower. So I think as we become more technologically advanced, parental mindset will also change. Obviously, our parental and societal mindset is not following the trend of technological advancement, but I do feel that slowly we reach there. And I think days like this, when we hear stories of all those amazing women who are doing things, and it's not the big women who've climbed Mount Everest always who are going to inspire us. It's also women of every day who are around us. Girls who've done little things, girls who've managed to achieve little things. They're going to inspire us a lot more than
Like, they always say that all women are working, but only a few are paid. So you see a woman's life. I mean, doing a household chore is also like a big thing,
Yeah.
Managing a household is also a work in itself, which goes
Yes,
unacknowledged and unpaid for.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yes,
as globally, women's contribution to GDP has not been acknowledged, and there is no way
Right.
to measure it also. But the bigger problem right now also is the fact that we have worn the hat of a person who goes out and works, but
Right.
we haven't been able to take off the hat of being the mother and the one who takes care of the family. Because of which, what happens is that we get that double burden, and we constantly juggling both those hats. So I think the one change is that we've not yet brought the boys into the conversation completely. We've not started talking to the boys about how important it is to be gender neutral and to think of women as equals, and to be self-sufficient. Somewhere,
I
unfortunately,
think in
in India,
cosmopolitan cities, still, the men think that women are, equal.
the numbers, I believe, are still lower.
Even in
If
the
it's the
cosmopolitan
child,
cities,
it's the mother who's ideally supposed to take
the
care of
bias
the
too.
child.
Yes.
It is there, right? You may not be doing your cleaning of your house, and you may have a help for all of that, but really when it comes to raising kids, and that's the biggest problem, it is still the mother who becomes more
Right.
important. So I think those till that mindset of the child is of both the parents, that changes, where parent teacher meetings are very hardly attended by only fathers, while only
That's true.
mothers do attend.
True. True
Yeah.
that. So how has
So
your journey been like, Ira? You have such an inspiring life, I mean, being born a woman, and then, differently abled. How did you emerge as a winner? What was your journey like?
I was born into a family which I was very lucky to not ever being treated as a girl, and hence being told that you can't do this. Obviously there were limitations in terms of my physical issues, but that limitation was always made as one of the things of your life and not the defining thing of your life. So for me, it was always that you have these capabilities. These are things that you can't do, but there are all of these things that you can do, and there is no reason why you shouldn't be doing them. So, and my family, we never heard the word that she's a girl and she's a boy, so she should do this and the boy should do that. That didn't happen. In fact, I was the one who was more socially available in my household than anybody else. I was the one who always went out to play in the evenings and came back late, and did all those things. And in fact, my brothers actually stayed back home a lot more than I did. So I grew up in a very supportive household, and it was a very rare thing. But I did grow. I got that environment growing up. And in fact, you know what, Parul? Every single girl who's something today has somewhere had a family who let her be,
True.
who let her go out, let her experiment, and let her just be who she is. So
Absolutely.
it all starts at home. It all starts with your parents wanting to dream for you, letting you have
There's a
dreams.
family whom you give a lot of credit for, your achievements today, who are always there by your side, who stood by your side and gave you the confidence that you could achieve something in life.
Absolutely. Always starts with the parents.
Right. So how did this thing of coming in a government job and doing something for the society, came to your mind? When you were very happily working in the corporate sector, earning a lot of money and, all the comforts, and then leaving that and coming in the government job, how did it strike you to do that?
So actually, I since childhood, I actually wanted to be in a job wherein I could make a difference, where I affected lives positively. I could, do something for the society around me. So I wanted to be a doctor or an IS or an IFS officer.
Okay.
So that was back in Meerut, which is a relatively small town compared to Delhi, and you see administration a lot more than you do in Delhi. But then we moved to Delhi, and so here that government and civil services thing sort of fell back, and I wanted to be a doctor. But my dad didn't let me take bio in 12th because his point was, you look like a patient. You think nobody's coming to you for treatment. So he thought कि तुम खुद ही बीमार दिखती हो, कोई नहीं आ रहा तुम्हारे पास. So he didn't let me take bio. He pushed me towards engineering. I got into engineering and realized that I was completely terrible at it. Not that I was bad at studies or didn't understand it. It's just that I could never get excited about it. I could just never feel connected to it. And
Right.
then I went into business school, which was basically my engineering college was all about organizing things and being a part of societies and doing all sorts of
Right.
curricular activities. So I thought I might as well get a degree in it. I went to business school, really enjoyed it. Got into corporate, again enjoyed that. But I was working 20-hour days in the corporate sector at a point, and that's when I started realizing that after having worked so hard, I haven't made a difference to anybody. There's nobody who's standing there and saying that because you work so hard, my life is better, or my life has become, my family is doing better because, and my problems are solved because you were here. And I
Right.
needed my day to have made a difference to someone. I needed my work to have made an impact. And I thought that if I have the capacity to work 20 hours here, if I do that for my country, if I do that within the government, the amount of change I can bring about can be massive. So
Right.
that's why I decided to
So,
switch.
do you think that the status of women in the government job is different than the status of the women working in private sector? Do you really think? And if that, what is the reason, do you think, for the same?
I don't think there's a difference. To be honest, society, government, uh, it's in government as well as in the corporate sector. The sector is made up of people coming from the same society, right? So whatever is your status in the society at large is what it is in the job profiles as well. In the corporate, and especially when it comes to women, the opportunities are equally available. I think the fact that a lot more, many more women drop out of corporate sector, while in government maybe they fall back, they take an easier route, they take easier postings, they take easier jobs. That might be happening, but it's very similar. I think government job has that permanent security thing, and once you leave it, you can't come back.
Right.
So that might be the reason that people don't actually quit it as much as they do in the corporate sector. So we have a lot less people leaving government jobs, especially after in the later years, which is what
Right.
is seen in the corporate much more. So
Right.
that difference might exist, but in general, it's the same. I think once you're in your job, somewhere you have to obviously struggle to prove your worth beyond your gender. But once you've done that, I think the opportunities are equally available to you. The gender bias as
Mhm.
such doesn't exist like that.
So do you think that the Divyangjan entrepreneurs can make a difference in the society? And how can they do that?
Every entrepreneur can make a difference. You create wealth for the country. Every person starting up a business is creating wealth for the country. So that's the biggest difference that you're making. Plus, you will be the one giving jobs. Nobody else will have to create a job for you. You are the one doing that. So that's a second biggest thing that you'll be doing. You'll be giving livelihoods to others. Plus, as a person with disability, it gives you immense confidence. The way you think of yourself, that goes up by huge margins. And it's the same thing with girls. The amount of self esteem that you gain by working, the amount of confidence you gain by setting up a business and running it for yourself, it's immense. And we don't value it, but happy people actually solve a lot of problems for the
Right.
country. And the amount of money spent because of unhappy people, all of that is eliminated. Unhappy people are the ones who are going to commit crimes. So there is all the police force that is needed to protect people. It's a lot of social costs that we
Another,
don't recognize,
right.
which
Another
come into it.
advantage that I see with Divyangjan entrepreneurs is that they always understand the problems that these people are facing, their other people. So they also will generate employment for them because they can empathize and they know what they are going through and what is good for them, what kind of a job they can do. So they
Yeah,
can also be very good employers for the others, who are suffering with
absolutely.
any kind of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's bringing in that perspective in the product itself, so into the system itself.
So, how do you think we can increase women in the workforce, and how do you think we can include the differently abled people in the workforce?
Uh, for so these are different strategies for women. I think the primary thing that we need to solve today is we need to create support systems. The
Support
reason that
system.
support systems, yes. So the reason that women are not there in the workforce is because they're always told your priority is family and home. Now, if we can lessen the burden of that priority for them, create a system where they don't need to feel that burdened by that responsibility, that's the only day they come out. A lot of women, after they have kids, drop out of workforce
Right.
because now, as mothers, they need
And
to
they
take
never
care of
come
their
back.
children. They don't. It's much tougher for women to come back. So that's something that we need to create. We need to have support systems as a society which will help women be better mothers uh, as working women. So, I set up creches inside government schools last year. And these were 12-hour creches because I believe women go to work for 8 hours and they come back, they travel 2 hours each side. So they don't have to worry about my kid not being home alone or nobody feeding my child or nobody taking care of my child. So I think if we can, those kind of systems where we have support systems, women can safely leave their children and the children are fed, taught, and taken care of. That's one thing. Secondly, we need to bring in our boys into the conversation. We
Right.
need to start teaching our boys how to behave, how to be equals, and how to not violate women's space, personal space.
And I think that should
Because
start from a mother teaching the son to respect her, to respect his sister, and respect the other women the same way he respects his mother and his sister.
yes, absolutely. Because see, women cannot go out and work or set up businesses if they don't feel safe. Unfortunately, safety is the first thing that we need to solve. So that and safe women's safety is not in women's hands; it's in the men's hands. So we need to start training men to keep women safe. And I don't mean be protective and be macho. I really mean just leave them alone. Just let
Right.
them be, let them do what they're doing. Just like you don't want someone to interfere in your life, please don't interfere in theirs.
Right.
So we need to teach boys correct behavior of socializing with women. And I really mean socializing here. How do you treat your classmates? How do you treat women on the street? How do you treat girls who are part of your education system or part of your work force? So that's where we need to start talking to boys, that they're your equals, they're people. If you don't want anybody interfering in your personal space, you cannot do that to them as well. So, safety concerns are the first thing that we might need to solve. Yeah.
You know,
And
there's another.
third,
Sorry,
I
sorry.
think one more thing is if you're talking
Mm.
just entrepreneurs, in the education system as well, we've been taught, we've been having an education system which discourages innovation, discourages asking questions, discourages risk taking. So we need to build that into our education system as well. How do you take the right risk, analyzing a risk properly, and understanding the consequences of each of your risks and being prepared for that, right? So that's another thing that we need to build on and we need to bring in, which well, I'm glad the new education policy is taking up things like that, but that's another thing
Right.
that we will need to come up with.
So, you know, another situation which I have seen many of people facing, many of the women facing, is that if they get married and especially if they have children, they lose the job. Sometimes even the contract says that you cannot have children. How do we get rid of that kind of a problem and that kind of a mindset?
Actually, I don't think there is a you can legally take someone to task if they are
No, but there are ways and ways if you want to do something in the private sector.
yeah. So that's the thing, no, it's the mindset thing. See, there is one issue that when it comes to private sector, it's all about productivity. So if you're not productive, they're obviously going to fire you.
But they decide on their own that if you have a child, you will be non-productive. How is
Yeah,
it?
I know. So the problem is, it's the male mindset, because they think that me as a father don't have to take care of my children. I'm not responsible for them. The mother is. So she's going to be a mother. So she's going to be responsible. Her husband, right? So that's another thing that we need to bring in. We need to teach the boys that if you become fathers, you are equally responsible for the success and failures of your children and for bringing them up. And it's about leading with example. So we need to start getting some male role models who are equal partners in bringing up the children and who take equal care and who stay up equal nights when the child is sick. So that's something that will have to happen if male paternity leaves get firmly entrenched into the system and men start taking it. See, we're talking in a culture right now where not taking leaves is appreciated, right? We don't understand the kind of impact not taking leaves has on your mental health. We never realize how bad it is for you in terms of your mental health if you are not taking leaves. And mental health will lead to all sorts of physical health
Extremely important.
problems.
I think it's equally important to the physical health, because everything
Yes.
starts from the mind. Everything is in the mind.
Exactly.
If the mind is
Exactly.
unhappy, you can create
Exactly.
so much problems for yourself,
Yes.
within the mind. So it is equally
Right.
important. So,
So
tell me
if
something. Sorry.
so this country, we discourage people from taking leaves. It's seen as you're lazy if you take leaves, but which is why a lot of people do not use their maternity or paternity leaves well. But if men start using their paternity leaves, the idea that women will not be productive will go away, because the men will also be becoming a part of that
I think that
conversation.
is one of the ways that we can kind of, resort
Bring
to
in the change the
solve this
conversation.
problem, resolve it. Sure. So, tell me something honestly, do you think that before you achieved, all this in life, did the society see you differently, or the treatment that you got was different than before being an achiever and after being an achiever? And what was the difference?
Actually, in my case, it wasn't very different. In my particular social circles, I'm treated exactly the same. I was always considered smart, and I was successful. I had a good career, right? It's just in a different field right now. So I
No, just before any kind of career, like when you were in school, in college, you had not achieved anything, and then before even getting into the private corporate sector.
I think the good thing that happened is that my parents always treated me as a person with capabilities. So that sort of forced other people around me to also see me like that.
Wonderful.
And I came from a joint family sort of setup. So all my uncles, aunts, and everybody always treated me as a child with a lot of potential and a child with capabilities. And I was very lucky to have teachers like that. Also, Parul, I'll be very honest, I was this really goody two shoes sort of kid. Yeah, I was extremely boring. My parents will now disagree, but I was really boring. My neighbors used to kidnap me and lock me in their house and say, play with our kids and make them like you. So I was this really, really well
That is so
behaved child.
amazing.
Yeah, I was so boring. Like, I was so boring. I
I
have done
cannot believe
nothing.
that.
Oh, I was
Looking at you
extremely
now,
boring.
I can't believe that.
I was very, very straight laced. and I was the person who would scold everybody, including my parents, for abusing, using any kind of wrong language or something. So I was really the goody two shoes, so
So you were
unfortunately.
always, like doing something good, and you were perfect for the job. I think since the beginning you had
Yeah.
this thing in you.
Yeah, that yes, but I was really a goody two shoes. So like this good girl wala cheez jo thi na, wo thoda zyada ho gayi thi. And it
What
was
is
not
your
that I
dream?
was forced. My parents were not the type who would force us. It's just
Right.
inherent. So yeah, I was boring.
What is your dream, Mira? What is your dream? Where do you see yourself? What is your vision for yourself?
God. So I'm actually one of the very lucky people in this country who don't really need to set up visions like that, because I'm in a job which allows me to do that. I'm in a position which allows me to explore all sorts of things and work in all sorts of fields and help solve all sorts of problems. In my 5-year career, I worked on environment, I worked on urban issues, I worked on pollution, I worked on women issues, transgender issues, children issues. I worked on child labor, child marriage, all sorts of things, disability issues. I worked on law enforcement. I worked on, God,
So
I've
it's been a
almost,
varied field for you. I think
absolutely.
you
I've
worked in
been
all
a judge.
fields
I've
of
been everything. So my, job profile thankfully allows you to explore everything. Water problems and you name it. And I worked in advertising,
done
in
that.
terms of publicity and
So
making
you're the
money for the
one-stop
government.
solution for all the problems.
No, not that. I've just gotten the opportunity. I worked in education.
Right.
So that way we don't have to make career dreams. On a personal front, I would like to travel as much as possible. So that's, I think, the only thing I need for myself. Read as many novels as possible and travel as much as possible.
What is your message for all the girls out there for whom you
Uh,
are a big source of inspiration, Mira?
To all the girls out there, the world will constantly tell you that you're not good enough. But it's only on the day that you believe you're not good enough that you won't be. You have capacities, you have capabilities, and you are the only one who knows you. So believe in yourself. You're the only one who can decide who you want to be. Other people don't know you. They've never lived your life. They don't have your experiences. They don't think like you. They don't see the same things as you. You are the only person who knows you. So why are you letting the world define you? You do it for you. You make plans for you. If you don't dream for you, nobody else will. And make big dreams. It's okay to fail in a couple. I'm sure you will succeed till the day you start believing in you. And remember, the world sees you as you see yourself. If you see yourself as a person with problems, the world will see your problems. You see yourself as a person with potential, the world will see the potential. So my best wishes to all of you on this.
No, one last question. Somebody from Facebook wants to know from you, what are the challenges that a woman will be facing if she's to put in any lead role or on top of on a top position in any of the organization?
I think
What
the
are the
first,
challenges that
I
a
think the
woman
one
will be
challenge is the world still doesn't see women that seriously. The world still doesn't believe that women are capable as such, or maybe if it's not even a capability thing, just that as an individual they'll think you're capable, but when they think of a woman, they don't think women are capable in that respect.
Right.
So you might have to constantly every day prove that you are capable. That's the one thing that does happen. Women are having to prove their worth every day. Like for example, in government, women do get away with a lot of advantages. Our intentions are doubted much less than they are of our male counterparts. But then our leadership potential is also doubted as is the it's the other side of the coin. Our leadership potential is doubted a little more than male counterparts. So there are pros and cons to everything, but for women in leadership roles, you might have to constantly try to prove that you are worth it and you are capable.
So your last one line for all the women out there, message on Women's Day.
Believe in yourself. The world will believe whatever you believe of you.
Super. I think that is one line. I think if people, say that every day when they get up, all the women, I think they will be able to achieve a lot in life, just like you have achieved. Thank you so much for joining us today for the panel discussion. It was an absolutely nice discussion that we had today, and I had a great time.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Happy
Bye.
Women's Day to everyone out there. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.